Welcome to Within the Frame, where we bring the most pressing issues across the globe into focus. I'm Kim Mok-yeon. As global uncertainty deepens, from the war in Ukraine to broader tensions across the international landscape, the value of trusted partnerships is coming into sharper focus. For South Korea and Poland, that partnership has been expanding not only in trade and defense, but also in culture and people-to-people ties. Since establishing diplomatic relations in 1989, the two countries have built a steadily closer relationship, with cooperation growing across a wide range of fields. Poland has also emerged as a key player in European security and one of the continent's fastest-growing economies, making its partnership with Korea even more significant. So what does this relationship mean at a time like this, and where could Seoul-Warsaw cooperation go from here? For answers to this, we are joined in the studio by Minister Marcin Sidash, Secretary of the State and the Chancellor of the President of the Republic of Poland. A very big welcome.
Good evening, Ms. Kim. Good evening, Korea. It's a great pleasure to be here today with you.
It's our pleasure, too. So let's start a discussion with I want to talk about your purpose of your latest visit to South Korea. What kind of areas of cooperation are you seeking to focus on this time around?
Well, you've just described how vivid our relations are since 1989, but especially throughout the last decade, we really deepen our cooperation. So we want to also have a quite warm temperature of our diplomatic context. That's why I'm here working on even higher level visits. The last meeting of our two presidents took place in New York, September last year. So it's high time to work even more actively on the further context. That's the first reason why I'm here. The second, of course, to look into the possibilities where in trade we can find some new possibilities to deepen this cooperation. As you've just mentioned, we are quite active in defense cooperation, but I'm pretty sure that there are much more to do for both of our economies. And the final reason is Poland this year crossed the line of $1 trillion US dollars GDP per year. So we are the number 20 in terms of the scale of our economy, number 20, and that means that we also joined G20 group, and Korea is already experienced partner within G20. So as a Sherpa for G20 for Poland, I had a very good meeting with your Sherpa discussing the possibilities of further cooperation on this platform.
Wow, so a lot of purposes right here. I want to dig a little bit deeper into the trade issue. Like we've said, we enjoyed more than 30 years of diplomatic relations, and we have become very important trade partners, both of us. Now, how is South Korea viewed in Poland today?
Well, first, it's viewed as a successful economy and the story of a country which many years ago was not that developed, but thanks to the ethics of work, I mean, hardworking people and entrepreneurship in your country, you've managed to reach the level where Poland is also aiming to reach. We are sharing a bit of our history. Both nations were under domination of foreign powers, but once we are gave with the opportunity, we know how to build our economy. So that's the image of Korea as a successful economy, very technologically advanced, and a good trading partner. You are the biggest Asian investor in our Polish economy, so we need to somehow upscale also the diplomatic context on that. And the final thing I would like to share with you, of course, is the security dimension. Your geographical location is not very easy. Let me put it that way. I mean, your neighborhood is quite risky and quite unstable, and the Polish neighborhood is not easy as well. We are neighboring Russia, neighboring also Ukraine, attacked by Russia, Belarus. Belarus, which is also quite unstable with regard to the security challenges. So what we can do is also exchange a bit of opinions and view how to tackle those issues, those questions, how to find a proper answer to set the good conditions for our business and our people, because relations between the two countries are not only on trade or security matters, but also on culture, as just you mentioned. So this is also quite important for us.
Right. As you've just said, living in this area of uncertainty and a lot of geographical and political challenges, it seems defense cooperation would be very essential for both of the countries. Now, we are aware that last year we had a $6.5 billion arms deal between the two. How is Korea's role being evaluated over in Poland, and how is this latest deal shaping the relationship?
You're perceived as a reliable partner and a good provider of highly advanced, cutting-edge technologies in the defense sector. As you probably know, after or in the year 2022, after the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine, we supported very much, very openly our neighbor, the neighbor which was a victim of this aggression, and we donated quite a lot of equipment we had at our disposal to Ukraine in order to help them to self-defend. They succeeded. I mean, the war is still going on, but they managed to keep the stability of the front line thanks to those donations. But there were some gaps in our defense system, so we need to fill this gap. And the time was quite important. And the time schedule which was offered by your companies and the quality of your equipment offered to our army was just appropriate to our needs. That's why this cooperation is very successful. We bought quite a significant number of your K2 tanks, K9 howitzer, Chunmun launchers, but also FA-50 fighter jets. So we do believe that this is just a very beginning of a nice story of cooperation between Poland and Korea. Since Poland is being the biggest country in the region, could be also a gateway for Korean investors, for Korean offer to other eastern flank NATO countries. All of our countries, we do invest in our army, since Russia remains a threat to our security. So your presence on the Polish market could be a good start. That's what I think. And the second thing is we need to also work on your presence, not only with the final products, but also with your technologies present in Poland as an investment to be closer to your potential clients. That's our offer, and that's why we need to think about deeper cooperation with regard to that.
Right, definitely. So it really was a major deal that allowed us to build the trust between the two sides as well. Now, when we turn to the economy, Poland has been recognized as one of the fastest growing economies in Europe. What do you think this new title could help in, opening up ways of cooperation between Seoul and Warsaw?
Well, indeed, we are number one in terms of growth when it comes to the numbers. Globally, it is only China which achieved better numbers in terms of GDP increased throughout the last 3 decades after the collapse of Soviet Union and the communism in Central and Eastern Europe. So we are also a history of success. We've managed to build solid foundations for our economy, also thanks to a good trading partners. And while in the 90s there were other Asian countries much more active in investing in Polish economy, now it's Korea the number one. What the future may look like, I'm pretty sure there are many more sectors in which Korean entrepreneurs can dip in, but also the Polish offer is being more and more competitive on global markets. Our businessmen, after our decision to join the EU, they were rather concentrated on Europe, but now they are big enough to explore other markets. For example, with food products, with our fantastic beef, which could be offered to the Korean consumers. It's a very good quality of food we offer to our partners, but it's not about only good prices, it's also about the food security. Your country, just like many others, need to have a predictable, good partners when it comes to the food products. So that could be one sector. The other sectors, of course, industry in many fields, including also space sector, in which we are very good in new technologies, and I know that there are already some discussions with regards to that sector between Seoul and Warsaw. And finally, we've already said that the defense cooperation as a sector of the future for both Seoul and Warsaw.
Right, so it looks like we're going to be looking forward to more opportunities in various sectors. Now, let me move to the security area, Minister. So since Russia's invasion of Ukraine and a lot of things, Poland was seen as one of the countries in the front line of European security. I wonder, how are European governments actually responding to the current situation, and what could that mean for long-time security in the area?
Well, Russia has not stopped its aggression vis-à-vis Ukraine. They keep fighting, although their capabilities are quite limited, and there is a very little success on the front line. Throughout the 1 year, in some cases, they moved front line only about 10 to 15 kilometers, so it's not that very much, but the costs are very high. So what should be the response of European government? It is the response. We do support Ukraine, not only politically, but in-kind support. So not only humanitarian, as you probably have heard, Poland accepted over 2 million of Ukrainian refugees which crossed our border. Many of them were accommodated in Polish houses, as regular homes of regular families. So there was this sign of neighborly friendly attitude. But now is the time also to continue the financial and military support to the victim of this aggression. And I'm pretty sure there will be a continuation on that. But if we want to achieve the sustainable peace, of course, negotiations are needed. But as for now, it is rather Ukraine which is ready to negotiate in good faith. I cannot say that about Russia. Russia seems to be not ready to negotiate because they are not weak enough to be somehow convinced to have those talks in good faith. What should be the answer? From our perspective, of course, the continuation of restrictive measures towards Russia. If Russia will run out of money, of course, they won't be capable to continue this aggression. But today is Ukraine, tomorrow it can be Central Asia, and the day after tomorrow it could be even east of Asia. That's why we need to limit their opportunities, financial opportunities. And as we all know, the Russian economy is not very much advanced. It is rather based on energy resources and other type of resources. So the sanction system should be kept in place. The shadow fleet should be, their operation of shadow fleet should be limited. And finally, we shall not refrain from using the argument of secondary sanctions on those countries which are helping Russia to circumvent the sanction system, because it's just simply not fair while Korea or Poland are paying the price for this, and others are just trying to take advantage of this in a way of finding loopholes in the system. That is just not fair. That's why we need to be quite strict on that.
Mm-hmm. Right, definitely. So this prolonging of the war itself, it's really raising concerns for many countries. And also the current situation with US and Iran, it's also a big concern for us. What do you think South Korea and Poland can actually do together right now in this current situation?
Well, of course, in the situation in the Gulf region is very complex, and it's not easy both of our country has not decided to participate in any of those actions. It was rather the decision of our ally, United States, vis-à-vis Iran, which is the ally of Russian Federation, which so for us is quite easy, with whom politically at least we solidify with. The challenges with the effect of that war, and we can see that in the energy prices all over the world. So what we need to do is to do our utmost in order to mitigate those negative effects of that. The blockade of Strait of Hormuz should be over somehow. I mean, should be lifted. So we are keeping our fingers crossed for our American, not only American allies to do that. Political support is very much important, but in-kind support probably would be very much needed for those countries which has at its disposal navy in that region. But for Poland and Korea, what we need to do is just to find a way how to mitigate the high prices of energy resources, and for sure. Venezuela, as a new actor in the energy market, could play quite important role, but also other suppliers of energy, except for Russia, because we do know that Russia may try to use it as a political tool. So that would be the role for Poland and the Republic of Korea.
Right. So close communication and continued cooperation and hoping for the situation to be eased up as soon as possible would be helpful. Now let's shift a little bit to people-to-people ties, Minister. So South Korea and Poland share a painful history of having lost their sovereignty under foreign oppression. What do you think, what kind of effect does that have on our relationship today?
Well, despite the geographical distance, we may see some similarities between our two nations. Just as I said, painful history, oppression of neighbors and the superpowers in the region, but also then the story of success, economic success that bring us to the very common perspective. First, we need to keep this global security architecture in the same shape as it is, because both of our nations profited quite a lot from that security architecture. But we need to get more people-to-people contact. We need to get more Koreans in Poland and more Poles in Korea. Last year, I've heard that more than 60,000 Poles visited Korea as tourists. For sure, direct flights between Seoul, Warsaw, and Seoul and Wrocław, so the third biggest city in Poland, helps that there are more and more people coming to our country. More and more Poles are familiar with your culture, with your beautiful nature, with your fantastic cuisine, and that creates, I think, a positive atmosphere. Also for business, also for academia, also for people of culture. I mean, some projects may be born out of this cooperation. So what we need to do is just invest even more in those contacts. That's why we also talked with your representatives of your administration that maybe we could launch even more direct flights between not only Seoul but also Busan in the south of Korea. For sure, there would be interest both in Poland and Korea for a direct contact between our two nations.
Mm-hmm. That will be something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of people-to-people exchanges, cultural exchanges are also very key in our ties. We hear that South Korean K-pop and Korean dramas and food are also growing in terms of popularity in your country.
Oh yes, of course.
Tell us more about that.
Oh, you are a pop cultural superpower. I have to say that. I mean, 20 years ago, nobody probably could expect that it would be the South Korea, the Republic of Korea, such an active player on that scene, on that stage. But you really are, and even the upcoming concert of BTS, right? I've seen some information down here in Seoul. There are a lot of Polish people interested in that concert after a couple of years. The team is back on the stage, so they are very popular. But generally speaking, K-pop is being more and more popular in Poland, especially among youngsters, among teenagers, among young people. I've heard many compliments on that. But the culture is not only the popular culture; it's also other type of culture, cuisine. As we talked about this, more and more Korean restaurants in Warsaw, in Kraków, in Wrocław. So you can easily find some nicely done kimchi in Poland, or fantastic grilled meat. I'm pretty sure it will be even better in Seoul to go to the Korean restaurant and to taste Polish beef as an alternative to other suppliers from abroad. So there is even a business opportunity in that field, but not only cuisine, also other spheres of our culture. TV series and the movies you are offering. I do remember the Parasite film was very much popular in Poland, and of course some of your TV series, starting with Squid Games, of course, which was quite popular. So, as I said, you are becoming more and more popular, and more legitimate is to call you a pop cultural superpower.
Wow, so it seems as though both countries are, gaining more understanding of each other's culture day by day. So as we had talked about, culture, defense, and various areas of cooperation. So, Minister, can you assess the current level of cooperation or relationship between South Korea and Poland, and also tell us in what kind of direction do you hope for the countries to, go through?
The future is bright. I'm pretty sure. I mean, the future of our relation is can only be positive if we properly answer to all those security challenges which are ahead of us. If we'll be still secure, and I'm pretty sure that we will be. But it's up to us, up to politicians, and up to the people responsible for security to set the proper conditions for us. The relation will be just positive. I'm very optimistic with regard to that. What we need to work on is to limit a bit this imbalance in our trade, since we ordered quite a lot of your military equipment. Of course, as for now, it is rather Korean products being offered to the market. Now we need to find a way how to keep the balance between those two economies. In political relations, I can see only a bright future ahead of us. And the people-to-people or cultural contacts, as we all know, are getting more and more intensive. So everything will be just fantastic. Let's just continue this good cooperation between our two countries.
Right, definitely. So it seems like a very promising picture for a future cooperation between the two countries. Minister Shidachi, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
For coming through our studio tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And that'll be all from us on Within the Frame tonight. Be sure to tune in again next time as we continue to explore the stories that matter. Until then, stay informed and engaged.